There is a particular kind of morning that arrives without warning, where the light through the window looks the same as always, the coffee tastes the same, the sounds outside are familiar, and yet something underneath all of it feels quietly, unmistakably different, like a page has been turned somewhere you cannot see. Many people are waking into exactly that feeling right now, on the edge of March 15th, and they cannot explain it to anyone around them because it lives below the level of words. If stories that meet you in that quiet, unexplainable place feel like something you need more of, you are already home here. 5 things are shifting in your life right now, and by the time this story is done, you will recognize every single one. The moon that quietly rewires everything. There are resets that arrive loudly, with events, with crisis, with the kind of obvious disruption that no one could miss. And then there are the resets that arrive the way March 15th arrives, through a cosmic window that most people walk past without looking up. The universe does not always use a hammer. Sometimes it uses light. A specific quality of light that enters through an opening that only appears for a brief time and illuminates exactly what needs to be seen, in exactly the person ready to see it. Today is that window, and the rewiring it initiates happens not in your circumstances, but in something far more fundamental: the way you understand what is possible for you. What makes a cosmic reset different from ordinary change is the layer at which it operates. Ordinary change rearranges the surface. A new job, a new address, a new relationship. These are surface reconfigurations. A cosmic reset goes deeper. It reaches the beliefs that sit beneath your choices. The quiet assumptions about what you deserve, what is realistic, what someone like you can reasonably expect from life. These assumptions are rarely examined because they are rarely visible. They operate as background programming, shaping every decision without ever being consciously selected. March 15th is reaching exactly these layers, with precision, with gentleness, and with an accuracy that will surprise you. The rewiring that today initiates will not complete itself by evening. This is important to understand so that you do not measure tomorrow morning against today's hopes and conclude that nothing happened. Cosmic resets work on a timeline that is longer than a single day and deeper than a single mood. What happens today is the initiation, the first movement of something that will continue unfolding across the days and weeks ahead. Like the first shift of a great wheel that has been still for a long time, the initial movement is slow, almost imperceptible, but it is real. And once a wheel of this size begins to move, it does not stop easily. Aquarius sees what others keep ignoring. The first sign that the universe is resetting your path is a change in what you can no longer tolerate. Not dramatically, not with anger or rebellion, but quietly, firmly, with a kind of inner authority you may not have felt before. Certain situations, certain dynamics, certain ways of being treated that you previously absorbed without comment suddenly feel genuinely unacceptable. Not because you have become difficult, because you have become clearer. The reset has begun at the level of your own self-respect. And self-respect, once genuinely awakened, does not go back to sleep. This specific shift, the sudden intolerance for what was previously accepted, has been documented across therapeutic and contemplative traditions as one of the most reliable early signs of genuine inner growth. Therapists call it the raising of the tolerance floor, the invisible lower boundary of what the self will accept. When this floor rises, the person often experiences it as becoming more sensitive, more easily bothered, more reactive. But this is a misreading. They have not become more fragile. They have become more honest. Their inner knowing has simply stopped pretending that certain things are acceptable when they are not. And that honesty, quiet, specific, unwilling to be argued away, is the universe speaking directly through your nervous system. What most people keep ignoring is the very first instance of this shift. The earliest, smallest moment when something registered as wrong and was immediately overridden by politeness, practicality, or the fear of disruption. The universe is not asking you to go back and catalog every instance of self-abandonment. It is asking you to notice the next one in real time, to catch the moment of override before it happens, to pause in that specific gap between the inner knowing and the habitual response, and choose, just once, to honor the knowing instead. That single pause is the entire reset in miniature. Everything larger begins exactly there. Take one slow breath right now. And think of one situation in your life where you have been accepting something your inner self has quietly been objecting to. Not a dramatic situation necessarily, perhaps something small and persistent. A tone someone uses, a commitment that costs more than it returns, a version of yourself you perform for certain people that isn't quite true. Just notice it. Hold it gently. The noticing itself is the beginning of the change. Freedom arrives, disguised as disruption. The second sign that the universe is resetting your path is a sudden, inexplicable ending, or the clear approach of one. Something that has been loosening for months finally lets go. A plan that seems solid develops an unexpected fracture. A relationship reaches a natural conclusion that neither person fully planned. A chapter closes in the middle of a sentence rather than at what felt like a logical stopping point. And the immediate feeling is loss, even when the thing that ended was not serving you, even when some part of you had already quietly said goodbye a long time ago. The reason unexpected endings are signs of a path reset rather than signs of misfortune is found in how living systems actually grow. A tree does not grow by keeping every branch it ever produced. It sheds. It drops leaves, releases branches that are no longer receiving sufficient energy, redirects its resources toward what is most alive and most capable of bearing fruit. Human lives follow the same intelligence when they are allowed to. The universe, functioning as the greater intelligence of your life system, periodically initiates this same shedding, not to diminish you, but to redirect the energy that was maintaining a dying branch towards something ready to bloom. What is ending in your life right now, or what has recently ended, is not a sign that your path has been derailed. It is a sign that your path is being clarified, cleared of the overgrowth that was making it difficult to see the direction. What looks like loss from inside the moment looks, from a slightly longer view, like reclamation of time, of energy, of the parts of yourself you were quietly spending on things that could never fully receive them. The freedom that is arriving through this ending will not feel like freedom today. It will feel like disruption, like grief, like the strange, unmoored sensation of no longer having something to push against. But underneath that feeling, if you are very still, you can already feel the first breath of open air. As we move deeper into these 5 signs, there is one that almost no one talks about because it doesn't feel spiritual at all. It feels almost embarrassingly ordinary. But it is perhaps the most reliable sign of all that the universe is actively resetting your path. That sign is coming next. The shift most people sleep through. The third sign that your path is being reset is a change in your relationship with time. Specifically, a growing sense that you are done waiting. Not impatiently, not with the restless frustration of someone whose plans have been delayed, but with a calm, grounded certainty that a waiting period has genuinely completed itself, that whatever was being developed in you through the experience of patience has now been sufficiently developed, and that continuing to wait at this point would not be faithfulness, it would be habit. The universe signals this shift not with a dramatic announcement, but with a quiet internal shift from not yet to now. This is the sign most people sleep through because it arrives so undramatically. It doesn't feel like revelation. It feels like a Tuesday morning when you wake up and realize, with no particular fanfare, that you are simply ready. Ready to have the conversation. Ready to make the change. Ready to take the step you have been rehearsing in your mind for months without quite moving your feet. The readiness doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with a strange, unremarkable calm, a kind of matter-of-factness about something that previously felt enormous. And that calm is not indifference. It is the felt sense of genuine preparation meeting genuine timing. In behavioral science, this state is called action readiness, a measurable shift in the internal orientation toward a goal, from contemplation to preparation to the threshold of movement. What's interesting is that researchers consistently find this shift happens not through more planning or more motivation, but through a quiet internal maturation, something that simply completes itself when it is ready, much like fruit on a vine that reaches ripeness not through effort, but through the natural completion of its own process. If you feel this calm readiness settling in around certain areas of your life right now, that is not coincidence. That is the third sign, and it is among the most trustworthy signals the universe sends. Why this week feels strangely different. The fourth sign that the universe is resetting your path is a sudden and surprising shift in who and what is being drawn into your life. New conversations appearing from unexpected directions, old connections resurfacing after long silences, not with drama, but with a quality of natural continuation, as though the gap in time was simply a pause rather than a conclusion. Synchronicities that seem too specific to be random, the right words appearing in the right moment, the right person saying the exact thing you needed to hear without knowing you needed to hear it. These are not decorative coincidences. They are the navigation system of your reset path becoming visible. Ancient navigators who sailed without instruments used a method called wayfinding, reading the behavior of birds, the color of water, the direction of swells and winds, to determine where land lay beyond the visible horizon. They trusted patterns that were invisible to the untrained eye and used them to cross vast, uncharted ocean. The synchronicities arriving in your life right now are your wayfinding signals. They are the universe's version of the bird flying toward shore. Small, specific signs pointing in a direction that reason alone would not confirm. The navigators did not require the birds to explain themselves. They simply adjusted their course accordingly. This week feels strangely different because the frequency of these signals has increased. What appeared once a week is appearing daily. What felt like possible coincidence is beginning to feel like consistent communication. And the appropriate response to consistent communication is not to analyze it into silence, but to begin, however tentatively, to respond to it. To move in the direction the signals indicate. To make the small adjustments in course that wayfinding requires. Not a dramatic change of destination, a subtle, responsive reorientation towards something that your ordinary daytime planning would not have found on its own. The universe has better navigation than your calendar, and this week it is actively offering to guide. Your body already sensed this coming. The fifth sign that the universe is resetting your path is perhaps the most intimate and the least discussed. It lives in the body, in a particular kind of physical lightness that appears in areas that previously carried chronic, low-grade tension. The shoulders that were perpetually raised begin, on certain mornings, to sit lower. The jaw that clenched through difficult conversations begins to relax in the pauses between words. The chest that felt tight around certain thoughts begins, occasionally, to feel open. These are not dramatic healings. They are quiet physical confirmations that something the body was bracing against is beginning to release its hold.
The body keeps a ledger of everything the mind has processed and everything it has not. Unresolved tension, unexpressed truth, unlived potential, all of these leave physical signatures. Practitioners of somatic therapy, the study of how emotional experience lives in the body, consistently find that genuine inner shifts are always accompanied by physical release, not the other way around. The release in the body is not the cause of the shift. It is the evidence of it. The proof, written in muscle and breath, and the quality of the body's ease, that something real has moved at the level of the soul. If your body has been offering you these small, quiet moments of unexpected physical ease, it is reporting, faithfully, what is happening beneath the surface. The body already sensed March 15th coming, long before the date had meaning to your conscious mind. It began its preparations in the restless nights and vivid dreams of the past week, in the unusual appetite changes, in the strange moments of inexplicable emotion that surfaced during ordinary activities, in the dreams that carried a feeling of urgency or completion or arrival. Your body was not now functioning during any of these experiences. It was translating, converting the incoming energy of this cosmic window into the only language it knows: sensation, feeling, the wordless vocabulary of lived physical experience. And the translation it has been offering consistently across all of these channels is this: something is coming, something good, something that has been a long time in arriving, and it is almost here. Here is something worth carrying into the rest of this story. First, research in chronobiology, the study of biological timing, confirms that the human body has internal clocks that respond to cosmic cycles far subtler than sunlight and temperature, suggesting our sensitivity to celestial timing is built into our biology, not borrowed from superstition. Second, the number 15 has carried threshold symbolism across Hebrew, Chinese, and Celtic traditions independently, consistently representing the point of completion before a new cycle begins. Third, every major spiritual tradition that uses a lunar calendar designates the mid-month moon as the period of maximum illumination, not just of the sky, but of what has been hidden in plain sight. The invisible door finally swings open. When all 5 signs are present simultaneously, something remarkable becomes possible. Each sign alone is meaningful: a shift in tolerance, an unexpected ending, a felt readiness, an increase in synchronicities, a physical release. But when all 5 arrive together in the same window of time, they are not separate events. They are a single event, expressing itself through 5 different channels. They are the universe communicating the same message through every available frequency to ensure it is received. The message is not complex. It is 4 words. The door is open. People who have moved through genuine path resets consistently describe the moment of recognition the same way. They say it felt less like a discovery and more like a remembering. Less like finding something new and more like returning to something true. The door that opens during a cosmic reset does not lead to an unfamiliar life. It leads back to the life that was always most authentically yours, the one that existed as a quiet, persistent possibility beneath every compromise, every detour, every season of settling for good enough when something in you always knew the difference. The door opens not into the unknown, but into the long-awaited known. The invisible door of March 15th has a specific quality that distinguishes it from other openings. It does not require you to be brave. It only requires you to be honest. To look at the 5 signs present in your life right now and acknowledge what they are pointing toward, not with certainty, not with a complete plan, but with the simple, grounded willingness to say, yes, something is changing, and I am going to move with it, rather than against it. That willingness, that single interior yes, is the hand on the door. And the door, which has been waiting for exactly this, swings open with an ease that surprises everyone who spent years imagining how hard it would be. What years of patience just unlocked. There is a specific kind of person who finds themselves at a March 15th cosmic window. And it is not the person who has been loudly demanding their breakthrough. It is the quieter one, the one who kept showing up without applause, who maintained their integrity when cutting corners would have been invisible, who chose kindness on the days when it cost something real, who kept believing in something, a dream, a relationship, a version of themselves, through long seasons when the evidence for it was genuinely thin. If that description lands somewhere in your chest with a feeling of recognition, then the unlocking that today initiates was built by you, brick by quiet brick, day by undramatic day. The patience that precedes a genuine reset is different from passive waiting. It is an active practice, a daily renewal of commitment to something not yet visible. Researchers who study resilience in people who have navigated long-term adversity find a consistent quality in those who emerge not just intact, but genuinely transformed. What they call faithful forward motion, the ability to keep taking small, authentic steps in a chosen direction, even when the feedback loop offers nothing, no confirmation, no progress markers, no visible evidence that the steps are leading anywhere. Just the internal compass and the decision, renewed each morning, to trust it. What years of this faithful motion unlock is not simply a reward at the end of a long road. What they unlock is a quality of receiving, a spaciousness in the self that makes it possible to hold something large without immediately diminishing it with doubt or grasping it with fear. The people who receive their breakthrough after long patience tend to receive it more fully, more gratefully, and more sustainably than those who encounter success without the seasoning of the wait. They know what it cost, they know what it is worth, and that knowing transforms the receiving from a transaction into something closer to grace, an unfolding of something that was always quietly already true about who they are and what they are capable of becoming. The quiet before everything clicks into place. March 15th sits in an interesting temporal position. It falls in the days just after a significant lunar shift and just before the spring equinox, a threshold between thresholds. The calendar itself seems to understand that this is a between time, a space where the previous season has released its hold, but the new one has not yet fully arrived. And this in-between quality gives today a specific energetic texture, contemplative, suspended, rich with the kind of meaning that cannot be forced into language, but is felt immediately by anyone paying close enough attention. There is a concept in music called the fermata, the symbol that tells a musician to hold a note longer than its written value, as long as feels right, as long as the music needs. The fermata is not silence. The note is still sounding, but time briefly is suspended. The ordinary forward momentum of the piece pauses, and in that pause, everything that has come before settles into a deeper resonance. March 15th is a fermata in the music of your year. The note you have been playing, your life, your choices, your becoming, is still fully sounding. But today, time pauses slightly. And in that pause, something that has been building beneath the surface is allowed to settle into clarity. The click, when it comes, does not always sound like what people expect. Some people experience it as a sudden understanding, a previously confusing situation rearranging itself into a pattern that makes complete sense. Others experience it as a decision that arrives fully formed, requiring no further deliberation. Others still experience it as simply a feeling, a settling, a rightness, a quiet that is different in quality from all the quiet that came before it. There is no wrong way for the click to arrive. There is only the click itself and the recognition that follows it. The deep, unhurried, absolutely certain sense that the pieces of something important have finally, gently found their places. When the universe stops testing you, a path reset, properly understood, is not the universe giving up on testing you. It is the universe acknowledging that a test is complete, that the specific capacities required for the next chapter of your life, the ones that could only be developed through the particular difficulties you have navigated, are now sufficiently present, sufficiently real, and that continuing to develop them through the same methods would be redundant. The training that prepared you for what's next is finished, not because you demanded it to be, because it has genuinely accomplished what it came to accomplish. And the universe, which wastes nothing, is ready to deploy what was built. There is a beautiful passage in the history of Japanese sword making. The master smith does not remove the blade from the forge on a schedule. He removes it when it tells him it is ready, through the color of the heat, the quality of the metal's response to his hammer, signals legible only to someone who has spent years in conversation with the material. The universe has spent years in conversation with you. It knows the quality of what has been forged. It knows when the blade is ready. And the path reset of March 15th is, in its essence, the universe's recognition, precise, unhurried, and completely reliable, that you are. The feeling of being done with a test is not triumph. It is, as was said, more like peace. But there is a specific addition to that peace that arrives with a path reset, a quality of forward-facing openness that was not available during the testing period. During a test, the orientation is inward, managing, enduring, maintaining. After the test completes, the orientation shifts outward and forward, toward what is possible, toward what is next, toward the horizon that was always there, but obscured by the immediate demands of the chapter being navigated. Today, for many people, that horizon becomes visible again, and what can be seen on it is worth all of what the journey here required. The reward hidden inside the restlessness. If you have been feeling an unusual energy today, a buzzing aliveness beneath ordinary activities, a sense of barely contained possibility, an impatience that doesn't feel anxious but feels more like excitement without an object. This is the reward revealing itself through the restlessness. The restlessness of a cosmic window is different in character from the restlessness of being stuck. It moves differently in the body. It leans forward rather than circling back. It feels generative rather than draining. And if you pay close attention to where it is directing your attention, what thoughts it keeps returning to, what images keep surfacing, what possibilities keep insisting on being considered, you will find the specific shape of what the universe is trying to place in your hands. There is an old West African concept called Sankofa, represented by a bird that slides forward while looking backward. It embodies the wisdom of understanding the past, not to remain in it, but to carry its most essential lessons forward into new territory. The restlessness of March 15th has this quality. It is not asking you to forget what you have been through. It is asking you to carry its most essential lessons, distilled now into wisdom, into strength, into the specific kind of knowing that only comes from having lived through something real, into the new territory that the open cosmic window is revealing. The restlessness is the feeling of being ready to fly forward, with clear eyes, with full wings, with everything that journey backward glance has taught. The reward does not arrive in the form most people imagine. It rarely does. People imagine rewards as things, outcomes, achievements, acquisitions. But the real reward of a path reset is experiential. It is the feeling of alignment, of moving through your days in a direction that feels genuinely, authentically true to who you are at your deepest. It is the specific relief of no longer spending energy maintaining a version of yourself that doesn't quite fit. It is the quiet joy of waking in the morning with a sense of direction rather than a sense of duty. This is what March 15th is unlocking, not a thing to be received, a way of being to be inhabited. And it has been waiting for you, with extraordinary patience, for exactly as long as it needed to. And here is where the story opens rather than closes, because path resets do not have endings. They have continuations. They have new chapters that begin in the middle of old sentences, quietly, without anyone else necessarily noticing the shift. March 15th will become tomorrow, and tomorrow will carry forward whatever today opened. The window does not close the way a door closes, with a click, with a finality. It fades, the way light fades at the end of a long, remarkable day. Slowly, beautifully, leaving behind a warmth in the air that persists long after the source has moved on. What you carry forward from today is not a plan, it is an orientation, a direction, a subtle but permanent shift in the angle at which you are moving through your own life. And angles, over distance, change everything. A degree or two of difference in direction, maintained across months and years, leads somewhere entirely different from where the old bearing was taking you. You may not feel the full weight of what today initiated for some time yet. These things settle slowly, like light through deep water. They become visible gradually, the way a landscape becomes visible as morning fog lifts. First the outline, then the detail, then the color, then the full, breathing, luminous reality of a world that was always there, simply waiting to be seen clearly. So carry today gently, not as a conclusion, not as a promise you must now keep, or a pressure you must now perform. Carry it the way you carry something precious and unhurried, loosely, warmly, with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that what is real does not need to be gripped to be kept. The path is resetting, the window is open, and something in you already knows exactly which way to walk.